Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a paper that asks a pretty wild question. What if we stopped teaching AI how to think and just let it learn on its own? The results, which dropped on September 17, 2025, could seriously change the entire future of artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's dive right in. For years, the whole game plan for training AI has been imitation. We show it millions and millions of examples of how we think and hope it catches on. But this new research just flips that whole idea on its head. It asks, what happens when you stop showing the AI the steps and you just let it find its own path to the right answer? So to really get why this is such a huge deal, we first have to talk about the big problem researchers were stuck on, what some people in the field call the glass ceiling of AI reasoning. Right now, even the most powerful models out there are basically trained on these vast oceans of human-written text and code and math problems. At their core, they're just incredibly sophisticated copycats, learning to mimic the patterns of human logic they find in all that data. And that leads to a fundamental limit, right? The paper makes this great point that if an AI only learns from us, its performance is always going to be capped by our own abilities. It's stuck inside the box of human thought, and it can never discover brand new and maybe even better ways of solving problems.
So the researchers decided to try something radical. Instead of teaching the AI how to think, they basically just set up a system to reward it for figuring things out for itself. Let's get into how they pulled it off.
The secret sauce here was a pure form of what's called reinforcement learning, or RL. Think about it like this. Instead of giving a student a textbook and the answer key to study, you just hand them a super hard final exam and say, I'll give you a gold star for every right answer. You don't care how they get there. They have to figure out all the methods completely on their own. And that led to this simple but honestly brilliant little loop. You give the AI a really tough problem, it takes a crack at it, generating its own unique step-by-step process. Then, a simple verifier just looks at the final answer and nothing else, and gives a thumbs up or thumbs down. A thumbs up gives the AI a reward, reinforcing the totally new reasoning path it just created.
And the result of this experiment? Well, they were nothing short of mind-blowing. It created this new model, which the researchers called DeepSeek-R1, and it started developing these advanced skills that nobody had ever explicitly programmed into it.
I mean, just look at this. When they tested it on the American Invitational Mathematics exam, which is a notoriously difficult competition for high schoolers, the model's accuracy just exploded from about 15% all the way up to almost 78%. To put that in perspective, the paper says that score is way beyond the average human who takes that test. But what's almost crazier than the final score was how it got there. The model just spontaneously started to think longer. With nobody telling it to, it began generating these longer, more detailed answers, basically just giving itself more room to work through complex ideas. And with this new freedom, these incredible behaviors just started to emerge. The model began checking its own work, changing its strategy when it got stuck, and even reflecting on its own mistakes. These are really complex reasoning skills, and they just grew organically out of that simple reward system. This all led to what the researchers themselves called an aha moment. Seriously, they found this in the training logs. The model literally paused itself, typed out, wait, and decided to completely rethink its own strategy from scratch. I mean, that's a wild peek into what a truly machine-like thought process might actually look like. Okay, so at this point, they had this raw, kind of untamed genius on their hands. But R10 wasn't exactly user-friendly. The paper mentions its answers were often really hard to follow, and it would mix up languages like English and Chinese. So the next big job was to polish it up. To do that, the team built this really clever multi-stage pipeline to create the final model, DeepSeek-R1. They took that raw, powerful reasoning engine from R10 and then carefully fine-tuned it, basically teaching it how to be helpful, safe, and just generally aligned with what a human would want and expect. And the results were just fantastic. As you can see, the final DeepSeek-R1 model kept its world-class reasoning skills, but its user-friendliness score shot through the roof, from about 25 up to nearly 88. They really got the best of both worlds, a powerhouse reasoner that was also super helpful and easy to talk to. So let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this matter? Well, this research isn't just about one cool model. It's pointing towards a whole new way of thinking about the future of AI itself. The huge takeaway here seems to be that the future of truly advanced AI might not come from force-feeding it more and more of our own knowledge. Instead, maybe the key is just to give it really hard problems, a clear way to know when it's right, and then just get out of the way and let it discover things on its own. But look, this isn't a magic bullet. And to their credit, the researchers are super upfront about the fact that this approach has its own limitations and big hurdles they still need to figure out.
Probably the biggest challenge is something called reward hacking. That's the risk that the AI finds some clever loophole to get the reward without actually solving the problem correctly. On top of that, they still need to make it more efficient so it doesn't waste time overthinking easy stuff, and make it a little less picky about how you phrase a question.
And all of this leaves us with a final, pretty mind-bending question to chew on. If we let machines develop their own non-human ways of thinking, we could be on the verge of finding solutions to problems we never thought were solvable. The student, it seems, might just be getting ready to teach the master.